Hi guys, it's Night Fear, and I have come on to do my May wrap-up. Oh, and this is going to be kind of different, because usually I like to show you the books. And all but one book I read this, well, in May, were from the library, and I've already taken them all back. So, some of them I've already reviewed, because I had wrap-ups for the 2 readathons I did, which is the 1 readathon to rule them all, and Borrowathon, and I will link both of those wrap-ups down below, so that you can see the books. So I'll just kind of go through them, and I can show a couple. I'll get on my Kindle and show you a couple of those books. So I actually read 17 books this month. I can't believe it. I mean, I guess because all of these books were good except for 2. The rest of them were 4 and 5. So anyway, let me start off with the books that I read during the 1 readathon to rule them all. And I do have, even though it's not, that's the wrong button. Even though it's not on my Kindle anymore to read, I do still have the picture of it, so I can show you it. Which is this one right here. Oh, no, see, it's telling me, give me a little thing. The Last Wish, which is a Witcher book. It's by Andrzej, maybe, Sapkowski. Anyway, excellent book. I loved it. It's the first book in the Witcher series, and I go into a lot of detail in the other wrap-up. So if you're curious about it, about the next 5 books, you can go over there and hear my thoughts. But I absolutely love this book. Like I said, I gave it a 5. Oh, it was so awesome. Okay, and then the next book I read was Cinder, and I had the book for that one. And Cinder is the first book in the Lunar Chronicles. It's by Marissa Meyer. And also, an awesome book. I gave it a 5. For those of you that don't know what it's about, really quick, it is about a retelling of Cinderella, where Cinderella is a cyborg. The next book I read was Neverwhere, and that's by Neil Gaiman. The month before, in April, I read The Ocean at the End of the Lane, and absolutely loved it. I loved that book. Gave it a 5. Wonderful book. I was expecting the same excellence. Neverwhere was good, but to me it wasn't as good. So I gave Neverwhere a 4, but it was still a good book. The next book I read was The Ranger's Apprentice. That's one that I actually own, which I should have got, but I have a stack of books because as soon as I finish filming this one and uploading it, I'm going to do my TBR for June, and I have a lot of library books, and yeah, ton of stuff to explain to you guys. But anyway, it's the first book. It's The Ruins of Gorlin, and the book is by John Flanagan. I gave it a 5. It was awesome. It's actually, I guess, would be considered a middle grade book, but I thought it was good. And as soon as I get through all these library books, I really want to continue the series. And the last book that I read for that readathon was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I always love when I pronounce her name. And I also gave that one a 5. And so, as you can see, the very first 5 books I gave 4 5s and a 4. So, I mean, awesome. But Children of Blood and Bone, awesome story. I didn't realize it was a series, and so now I'm just waiting for the next book. And like I said, those 5 books are in the wrap up, and I'll link it down below for the one readathon to rule them all. Okay, the next book, which I will go into a little more detail because I haven't done this one yet, is Hunted by Megan Spooner. I wonder if I can make that bigger. No, I can't. And this is a book. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and she is a, you know, a merchant's daughter, and, you know, the same old story, and loses his fortune, but before he was a merchant, he was a hunter, and so they go back to his hunting cabin, and she's looking for her dad, and, you know, the beast needs her. He needs a hunter, and so, anyway, it goes on from there. I enjoyed this book a good deal. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I did give it a 4. I thought maybe she could have done a little more at the beginning to make it a little different from the story. But I did like the ending, and I did like, you know, the twists. And I would recommend it, especially if you like Beauty and the Beast retellings. Excuse me. The next book that I read, I'm going to have to look it up. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, guys. Let's look it up on Good. Oh, I should have done Goodreads. Oh, I'm so stupid. Okay. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. The next book I read was Thunderhead. And this is the second part of the Scythe. It's this, the Arc of the Scythe is the name, because there is actually going to be a third book. I'm not sure if there's going to be any more than that, but I know it's definitely has 3 books. Where Scythe, we follow how 2 people become a scythe, or their apprenticeships. In Thunderhead, we learn more about the Thunderhead. We learn more about the world. We learn more about what makes people tick. We learn a lot of different things. And if you guys thought the plot twists in Scythe were wow, just wait. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I thoroughly enjoyed the ending. I just hated that it ended because I didn't want it to end. I wanted to read more. And from what I understand, the next book is going to be called The Toll, I think it is. Or The Toll, I think it is. And it's supposed to come out next year, I think, from what I could find. And so and as you can see, this is my actual Goodreads. I gave it 5 stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So see, and there's me and Kaylin. So yes, I gave it a 5. I could not put this book down. I loved it. I mean, I was just amazed. Enjoyed the writing style. It's just very easy to read. And if you've read Scythe, in Scythe you get the pages of the journal, you know, in between the chapters. In this one, you get the thoughts of the Thunderhead. So you do get to understand more of the world, and more of the world, why the world is the way it is. And it just was so amazing. I cannot recommend this book enough. The next books that I read, I participated in Borrowathon. And once again, I do have my wrap up, and I will link it down below. But I'll go through the books that I read for that really quick. The first one that I read was Illuminae. Kaylin actually read Illuminae. We read Illuminae, Illumina, Gemina, and Obsidio. We read all 3 of them. and enjoyed them. As a matter of fact, Kaylin, when I brought this one from the library, she stole it from me and actually read this one first. And I read Gemina and Obsidio before her because she was trying to finish the Lunar Chronicles, which she has finished and I have not. So yeah, there's that. And if you go over there in my wrap-up, I will show you what the inside... I didn't have Illumina because I had to take it back to the library, but I showed you inside of Gemina to give you an example of what the insides of these books look like. And so I'm going to go ahead and do these 3 books together. Illuminae, I gave a 4. Gemina, I gave a 5. And Obsidio, I gave a 4. I did think that Gemina was the best out of the 3. Kaylin liked Illuminae better. Okay, so basically, these are sci-fi books, and it goes to the story, and there's basically 2 people, 2 to 3, in each of the books, 2 different, you know, and then it kind of, you bring in different characters from the different books, and I go more into this in the wrap-up. So go over there, if you haven't listened to anybody talk about these 3 books, go over there to my wrap-up for the Borrow-a-thon, and check out that, and Kaylin actually, tells her opinions too. So go over there and look at that. Okay. Then the next one I read was The Selection by Kira Cass. Oh yeah, and Illuminae, Gemina, and Obsidio is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Okay. So the next book I read, and actually I'll go ahead and do the 3. I read The Selection, and I read The Elite, and then I actually did end up reading The One. Now, The Selection and The Elite are in the Borrow-a-thon wrap-up, and The One I read in the very last day of May. So, yeah. These are very YA books. I gave all of them 4s, because I just couldn't give them 5s. Because of how, I mean, they're fluffy, and you know, I just couldn't give them 5s. But I did enjoy them. I read each one of them in one day. They're each right around 300 pages, or a little over. But they were just, oh, such wonderful books. They're so lighthearted. Just a sweet little story. And there was a little bit of a twist. Not a big one, you know, here and there. But it's just really good. And I've decided that the next time I go to the library, I haven't gone to the library again, but the next time I go to the library, I'm going to pick up the next set of books that continue this series. And I definitely would highly recommend these. The next one that I read was Coraline. And I also talked about this a little more in depth in the Borrow-a-thon wrap-up. I was disappointed. This one, it was hyped to me that it was scarier than the show, and it just wasn't. It wasn't scary at all. I mean, not at all. And I just was so disappointed. And I ended up giving it a 3. Excuse me. And so, this is the first Neil Gaiman book that I don't really care for. I mean, it was okay. And maybe if I hadn't have seen the movie, or maybe if I hadn't have been hyped by people, maybe I would have felt differently, but I was just highly disappointed. Okay, let's see. I already told you about that one already. Okay. The next one, I had the physical book, but I also, somebody recommended that I listen to it on audio. I normally don't do audiobooks, but I said, what the heck? I'll try it. And it was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. There is 2 different audiobooks, 2 different, I don't know what you call them, 2 different versions. There we go. And so I explain on the wrap-up which version to get. But yes, I would definitely highly recommend, if you get the version I recommend on there, I would recommend the audiobook, because it was excellent. And I'm really finding that I'm still loving reading about zombies. I am just a zombie girl. And I gave this one a 4. Okay, and then I said about Obsidio. The last one that I read for the Readathon, hold on, let me find, okay, was this one. The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. Oh, World War Z was by Max Brooks. Sorry guys, I'm forgetting to tell you who these are by. Wow. This book I had such high hopes for. This was a book I'd never heard before. We had to get a book about a library or having to do with a library or whatever for the Readathon, for the Borrowathon. And so I was looking and looking and looking, and I saw this one, and I read the synopsis, and I thought, oh, that sounds like an excellent book. Yeah, the book is not like the synopsis. And I explain all about this in the my other wrap-up. But in that wrap-up, I gave it a 3. And I sat and thought about it, and I actually changed my rating. If you can see, it's at 2 now. It doesn't deserve a 3. It just doesn't. I would not recommend this book. I just wouldn't. And actually, it has a 4.08 on Goodreads, and I'm just not. This is one of those books I'm just like, I don't get it. I didn't like it, but you know, if you liked it, then that's good for you. But I definitely would not recommend this book. And the last 2 books I read was the one, like I said before, by Kara Cass. And the other one was, hold on. Where is it? Scarlet. I read Scarlet. And this is the second book. Oh, it's by Marissa Meyer. And this is the second book in the Lunar Chronicle. It's the one after Cinder. And it of course, Cinder appears. But you also deal with Scarlet, who is like, it's like the retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. And the Big Bad Wolf makes an appearance. And it's just, it was a really good book. And I am soon to continue with the series. The rest of them I have on Kindle right now. I've checked out. No, it's not. I have them over here. I'm sorry. The last of them I have actually books. I have Crest, I have Fairest, I have Winter, and I have Stars Above, and I'm going to be reading those. But you'll see that in my wrap-up. But anyway, I gave this one a 5. Would highly recommend the Lunar Chronicle so far. Loving all the books. Kaylin loved all the books. And I'm not sure which one was her favorite. I'll have to ask her next time I wrap more of these up. I'll ask her and see which one she liked the best. So, this is my wrap-up for 17 books. I had an awesome month, and I am hoping that this next coming month is even better. But yeah, that's all I have. I'm sorry this wrap-up wasn't like I like, because like I said, I like to show the books. But yeah, see, there's my wrap-up. And as you can see, I always highlight in yellow, because this was my TBR. Yeah, I didn't follow my TBR very well, guys. Actually, I've started this one. I'm halfway through with this one. I'm waiting for this one, actually, still. Yeah, so that one I DNF'd, Son of a Witch. Oh yeah, I guess I should tell you that one. Son of a Witch by Gregory Maguire. I own his Wicked book, read it, didn't really care for it, but I thought I'd give him another chance. I started Son of a Witch, got, I think, 20-25 pages in, and I just don't like the writing style at all. I just didn't. And it was sad, because Wicked actually was a really good story. It was really interesting, but I didn't like the way he wrote. I just didn't like it. So I had to DNF that one. You know, life is too short. And this one I had to take back to the library. It is on my wish list for the library again, so I'll have to recheck that one out. Like I said, I'm reading this one right now. That one's on the Kindle. Well, you'll see. So anyway, guys, please remember to be kind to each other, and I'll see you in just a few minutes with my next video.